Hi, Alyssa.
Hi.
How are you?
So good. I'm so excited to be talking with you.
So excited to have you. Today we're talking to Alyssa Jaffe. So let's start from the very beginning, because I heard that's a very good place to start. Yeah, sound music.
That was great. That was great.
So how did your whole theater journey start? Was there a specific theatrical experience that you had that inspired you to begin theater?
100%. In elementary school, both of the fourth and fifth grades, where they were forced essentially to do musicals. And my fourth grade musical was Annie. And I had been singing. I would literally run around in diapers with like a plastic pink guitar. Like I would be singing Part of Your World at the top of my lungs as a kid. Was in, choir and everything. And then they forced sounds horrible, but everybody in the fourth and fifth grade they had to do a musical. We were doing Annie. I was cast as Miss Hannigan. And I was very jealous because I desperately wanted to be Annie, but I had just the best time. And I remember just like that feeling of being on stage for the first time, especially in a musical, and taking in the audience and the rehearsal process and everything with that. And it made me fall absolutely in love. And so since I was 8 years old, I've been wanting to do theater. So it's been a long time. I remember they took away my microphone because I was too loud. And I went, wow, this works. This is great. I remember my mom telling me, being like, yeah, we saw something there. We were like, wow, she found an outlet.
Yeah, that's when you know. That when they take away your microphone, that's when you know.
There you go. They were like, you are way too loud. And I went, thank you.
Yes, perfect. So you grew up in California. Did you see Broadway tours a lot?
I did. So I was really fortunate to grow up relatively close to the Pantages Theater and the Amundsen Theater. And my entire life, we have been seeing shows there. I saw my first musical, I was probably 5. My first musical I ever saw was The Lion King. I saw the national tour at the Pantages Theater, which I would love to do a show at the Pantages or Amundsen because that'd be such like a full circle moment. But those are two gorgeous, gorgeous national tour houses. And so I grew up going to see a lot of shows, and I've seen so many shows with those theaters. Lion King was my first. I saw Phantom there a bajillion times. I saw Wicked there. Literally that fostered my love for theater.
Did you see the iconic Megan Hilty, Eden Espinosa Wicked? That's like every California kid's first.
I did not, which I'm so sad about. I'm so sad because I'm a Megan Hilty, Eden Espinosa girl.
Are you a Smash girl?
Oh, of course. Of course. I am so excited for the musical.
Me too. I'm drooling over the casting. Their social media is ridiculous.
Well, you have Robin Herder, you have Caroline Bowman. I love Caroline Bowman. I saw her in Evita, the national tour. I love that girl. She's amazing.
She's my first Elfie. Amazing, insane, perfect. Season 1 or 2 of Smash?
Probably season 1. I fell off the bandwagon a little bit in season 2. It's something I want to rewatch, but season 1 I was so hooked. And also my mom loves Marilyn Monroe, so it was really fun to watch that with her and connect over that.
Yeah, I'm a season 2 girly because obviously I'm a Jeremy Jordan girl.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's also Newsies is my life, so I was like, okay, Jeremy Jordan, thank you.
With again our collective love for Bonnie and Clyde. And
of course, Ivy or Karen? Important question.
I'd say Ivy. Yeah. I do love Karen. I love them both in different ways, but it's also it's Megan Hilty.
Yeah.
She put in all the work and again, not saying that Karen didn't, but she put in the time, she put in the work. It's also again it's Megan Hilty.
Adulting is knowing that Ivy was right for the role.
Yep. 100%.
Yes. Have you seen Death Becomes Her yet?
I have not. It is on my list. I need to see it so badly. I have so many friends that have seen it already and they're like, it's amazing. And I've never seen the movie. So I'm like, I need to see it. Yeah. And Jennifer Bard is everything. So I'm like, I need to see it.
Yes. I saw her in Company and she was insane.
She's one of the funniest people I've ever seen on stage. She was in it. I saw her in the Britney Spears musical. What was that? Once Upon a Time? Her Toxic. I was out of my seat. I was like, this is insane.
Yeah.
This is everything. I love that woman. No, I need to see it.
Me too, yes. I have so many on my list. This season's picking up and I'm like, oh God.
And Gypsy's opening and I'm like, I need to see that. I'm like, there's things I want to see again. There's too many.
Yeah, seriously. How old were you when you realized this could be a career?
Part of it actually was in 4th grade. I literally was like, because I remember speaking to my family and being like, oh, this is a job. This is something I can actually do. The big one for me was the 25th anniversary production of Phantom. I remember watching it, like clips of it on YouTube. And I had already seen Phantom. I was already a fan with a PH, still am. You look at me for 2 seconds and you're like, wow, she has an addiction. It's fine. It's fine. But I remember seeing the 25th anniversary and being like, oh, that's exactly what I want to do. And I've always sung really high and I've always done operatic training. I did my first operetta when I was in 7th grade. Should I have done an operetta in 7th grade? Probably not. But I was the first time I was like, oh, that's me. That's so I'd say I was around 12 years old. I think when I was like that, yep, 100%, that is exactly what I'm doing. I'd already wanted to pursue it, but like seeing that was sort of the switch for me.
I've never seen Phantom.
Girl! Okay, we're gonna need to watch it together because you have to watch the 25th anniversary production. Sierra Boggins, Karen Hadley Fraser. It is.
I know. I think it's because I grew up in New York. Like I'm from New York. We didn't go see we didn't go see the classics. Like I didn't see Chicago until like 2 years ago.
Well, because it's also like you also imagine that they're gonna be there forever. So it's like, oh, I'll see it eventually, and then you don't. Time slips away. Yeah, and your heart breaks a little bit, but it's fine. It's
okay. It's okay. It'll come back.
It'll come back. It has to. It has to.
Yeah, totally. So how did you get into social media? Were you like a YouTube kid?
So I was not a YouTube kid. I was an Instagram kid. Okay. So this is actually a funny story. There was an Instagram theater community when I was in like early high school. My username was Alyssa of the Opera. And I wonder what my favorite show is. And yeah, it's a little corny. I think it was like Alyssa of the Opera 7699 or something like that. It was a lot. It was so silly. But there was an Instagram community, and basically what they would do is they would imaginary cast shows. So they'd be like, someone would post and be like, I'm casting. Okay, just because it's on my mind. I'm casting the Phantom of the Opera. And then you would send in you'd post a video of yourself. Like usually it wouldn't even be of your face. It'd be just like a black screen of you singing with not seeing you at all. And it'd be singing, 16 bars of Think of Me. I remember I have one where I would do the pic collage and I would have a picture of Christine, the Phantom of the Opera, and just a black screen. And it would be me singing the title song, High Notes. And so basically then they would cast people and you'd be like, I'm giving you the role of Christine 100 times. It was the weirdest thing. And you would say in your Instagram bio, it'd be like Christine Daae 100 times, Cosette 75 times. It was wild. So I'd say that was sort of my introduction to social media. And then I kind of stopped for a while and just had a regular Instagram account. And when I was in high school, and then when COVID happened, I was bored out of my mind, as many of us were, and I was trying to figure out sort of what to do. And my sister was like, you should get on TikTok. And I was like, but it's for kids. I'm too old for this. She's like, just get on TikTok. And I was like, wait, this is really fun. So I started posting some singing videos. I started posting duets. And I was also in the midst of that launching a Party Princess company. So I used my social media to also promote that. So sort of throughout that, I've developed a bit of a social media presence, which is wild and amazing, and I'm incredibly grateful for it.
We're actually very similar. I didn't do the auditions, but I had a fan account. I was a fan of Instagram. Yeah, over my whole feed, and I was like, okay, I need to do this.
No, literally, and I'm like, now my TikTok is just an adult version of that. I'm like,
no,
my entire feed is just wicked right now, and it's fine.
Yeah. Me too. Wicked, maybe Happy Ending, and The Outsiders.
Literally, my case is just we've accepted.
That's gorgeous.
It's cute.
I love that.
I love her. I was like, oh, Glinda. It's subtle Glinda, Yeah, my sister was nice. I went, yeah.
I was also a big Broadway.com blog girl.
Oh my God, I love the Broadway.com blogs. Those were everything. Oh my gosh. I know they slowly started bringing them back.
Bringing them back.
Oh my God. I remember the Rodgers and Hammerstein Cinderella one. I was obsessed.
The fish with the fish. Oh my God.
What was the fish's name?
I don't know, but I remember walking by that pet store one time and I'm like, oh my God, this is the same pet store that they got the fish at.
Oh, literally. And I'm trying to remember. Oh my God. There were so many of them. There was the Lindsay Mendez Wicked one.
I also loved the Bandstand one.
Yes.
That was a good one.
There were so many great ones, and yeah, they're like slowly starting to bring them back. I loved those. I loved the Broadway.com interviews, show people.
Yes.
Loved those. Or God, what was it? Like the roll call one where it would have like all the Post-its on the wall.
Yes.
Those are my favorites. Oh my God, there's a Sierra Bogus one that brings me immense joy every time I watch it. I'm like, this is great. It's so good. It's so good.
I also loved Susan Blackwell.
Yes. Oh my God, what was her thing called?
Side by Side by Susan Blackwell, of course.
Oh my God, and she was so funny.
So funny. Jonathan Groff.
Yes, and it was always the most like wild activities that she would do with them, and you're like, this is insane in the best way.
Yeah, no, like I want to be there, but this is crazy. The falsetto Susan Blackwell episode is my favorite. Like the Thanksgiving.
Oh my God, so good. I need to rewatch those, revenge them.
Yes. Also, the Tyler Mount vlogs is so niche.
Oh my God. I met Tyler Mount when it was like my first Broadway flea market. And I have a picture of me. I think it's my freshman year of college. And it's a picture of me with Tyler Mount. And I was like freaking out.
I would have freaked. I used to go on his live and like comment. And every time you read the comments, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm famous.
So good. So good.
So good. Were you part of like a high school theater club?
Yes, I was. 100%. So I was very active in my, especially high school theater and my high school choir. So my freshman year of high school, I just did community theater, and there was a community theater near-ish to my house, and I did like 5 shows in 1 year with them, and did like Beauty and the Beast. We did Willy Wonka, Schoolhouse Rock, like a bunch of different shows. Yeah. But I really wanted to get involved into my high school theater, so I didn't do their show my freshman year. But then they were doing Wizard of Oz, and I had done it in middle school, and I was like, let's audition, why not? And I got Glinda, which was really fun. Best part is in middle school, I played the Wicked Witch of the West. So I'm like, now I can say I have in fact played both Elphaba and Glinda. Joining the ranks, thank you. Just have the educational productions of the Wizard of Oz. It's fine. It's fine. But so I did that, and I remember loving it because I got to fly, which was cool. My high school was very no, I literally was like strapped into a harness and like flying across the stage. It was ridiculous. But they had also like a high school theater club. I wasn't as active in that, but I was sort of on like the theater board. So I was one of the co-presidents for that my senior year. And then choir, I was one of the most active kids in choir. I was one of the choir presidents my senior year. Like my choir teacher, he would teach the music for the musicals, but when he wouldn't have enough time, like I would step in and help teach the music, and which is I loved. And yeah, so I was very, very active in my high school theater.
When you weren't on stage, what were you doing?
Oh my gosh. I was on the tennis team. That's something I don't think anyone knows about me. I was on the tennis team. I played competitively in high school. Yeah, it was like she was in fact an athlete. I was one of the JV captains. And then my senior year, they were like, you either, because I would only do the spring musical because I wanted to be on the tennis team. And then I wanted to start doing plays because I was like, I also want to, like, that's what I want to do. And I had to decide between being one of the varsity captains or doing the Crucible. And I went, I'm doing the Crucible. Thank you. Yeah, which I loved because I love plays and I don't get to do them nearly as much as I'd like to. But yeah, so I was doing tennis, was again very active in choir, which I guess is like theater adjacent, but very active in that. I would draw a lot. I would read a lot. I'd hang out just a lot with my friends. I lived in Los Angeles, so there was a lot to do. Yeah, of course, everything else is escaping my brain at the moment, but that was kind of homework.
Obviously.
Obviously, but of course, I was in the voice lessons and the acting lessons and doing all those things, and took up majority of my time. But a big part of it was a lot of stuff at school.
I'm sorry, similar. Like I was not a star athlete like you, but
I was not a star athlete. No, I've been playing since I was 8.
You dabbled.
We dabbled.
I truly believe that high school theater saves lives.
I think so too. I remember being like in middle school, and the girls I was friends with, they were sweet, but we had very different interests. And I remember my mom tells me about this all the time, that one of them came up to her and was, because I was like playing Phantom on the piano. I clearly have an addiction. But they went to my mom and was like, do you think Alyssa's actually going to do this? And is this worth her time? My mom was like, yeah, it is. And so it literally like joining theater in high school and becoming friends with those people. I mean, they're still some of my closest friends to this day. I saw them when I was back in California last week. We all hung out, and I love them so much.
Mm-hmm. so important to have, especially like a support system like that. It's
Oh my
really,
God, yeah. Especially, oh my God, during like college auditions and everything, it was so vital having people that kind of got what you were going through.
I totally agree. I still, to this day, like my best friend goes to NYU and she goes for musical theater, but in different capacities. We're doing the same thing. And it's so nice to have somebody who understands, because honestly, like, she is like one of the only people in my life right now who really does. Like, she gets the constant doing everything at the same time.
That's the thing. It's like you're doing 30,000 things at once. You are, I mean, that's a whole nother conversation. But it's really, really important to have people that either, even if they're not actively doing it, they can sympathize and understand what you're sort of dealing with. Because it's, I remember, the college audition process when I was in high school. Oh my, and I was dumb and only applied to like, I think 6 schools, and which is a kind of a big no-no when you're applying for theater, because they're like, no, apply to a bajillion, because frankly, everyone is applying. And I was like, no, I'm just going to apply for the top schools. I got very lucky, very, very lucky that I got into the one I wanted to go to. But no, I loved that support system and still love them to this day.
Let's talk about the college audition process. What do you say?
Yeah. So I will call myself out, and I wasn't the smartest when it came to my college audition songs. I've always been like a very big like golden age mega musical girl, and I really only started getting into more contemporary musical theater as I got older, because I was just like, I'm just gonna do, Les Mis and Phantom and Sweeney and Into the Woods and Carousel and Sound of Music and all that. Like, that was like my bread and butter. Still is. But so my college audition songs, which were a choice, were Vanilla Ice Cream from She Loves Me. And I think I switched out Much More from the Fantastics and If I Loved You from Carousel, which are basically like the 3 big soprano songs. And everyone literally says, like, don't sing Vanilla Ice Cream. Don't sing If I Loved You. And I, my brain went, oh, those are contrasting. No, they're not. No, they're not. So I remember I had a Carnegie Mellon audition, and they were like, do you have something like more, after I sang my 2 songs, they're like, do you have something more contemporary, more belty? And I went, I have You Don't Know This Man from Parade. And they were like, okay. Like,
did you sing it?
I did. And while that song is, now I can sing it, then I was like the most head voice dominant You Don't Know This Man ever, sung by, a 17-year-old girl who definitely does not understand what is happening.
Who does not know this man.
Who does not, in fact, know this man. Again, I got really lucky that I got into the school I wanted to go to. But yeah, I only applied to 6 schools. I applied to NYU, Carnegie Mellon, University of Michigan, Boston Conservatory, Emerson, and Pace. So I literally, all the big ones. Yeah, Pace was the only one I didn't get a call back for. And I was a little salty. It's fine. But NYU was my top. So I was very, very grateful when that ended up working out in my favor. Thank goodness.
Thank goodness.
Literally, that is my favorite Wicked song. And I get...
Wait, your ranking was crazy.
Well, I am going to get attacked on that video. People are like, you're insane. Like, you're never rank again. Like, this is horrible. Like, I'm unfollow. I was like, first of all, calm down.
Yeah.
Like, this is in fact a silly little video of me curling my hair while I rank Wicked songs. I'm just a Glinda girl, and I like.
Oh yeah, that's okay. That's okay.
Right. Thank goodness.
I think your life was too low, though. In my opinion, that's the one thing that
I actually do regret that a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I need to, either someone else needs to make an audio, or I do, of ranking the part 1 Wicked songs, because my ranking for that, granted it's only part 1, very different than my musical ranking. Very different. The ranking video as well.
Yeah, but it was like entertaining. Like, I felt like on my toes the whole time. Like, I never.
People are like, "This is rage bait," and I'm like, "I swear it's not. It's just genuinely my opinion."
This is a rage.
And again, emphasis on opinion. This is not fact. I do in fact know that "Defying Gravity" is a better written song than "Thank Goodness." This is just my preference.
Yeah.
So
and that's okay.
Again, every song of Wicked is number 1. So like, it's fine.
Yeah, and. I love Broadway forever and ever, but I do believe there are skips in that soundtrack. It's not a no-skip soundtrack. I'm sorry.
I also think it's funny because in that audio, they left out a couple songs, and it's someone else's audio. I didn't make that audio. It's like "Sentimental Man" is cut out. And "Not That Girl" reprise. Oh my God, there's others that are cut out as well. "Something Bad," but like justice for "Something Bad." And like, I did not make this audio.
Yeah.
If I made this audio, "Something Bad" would be on it. It would be low on the list. But we'll say movie Something Mad would be higher on my list. Peter Dinklage, fantastic.
Yeah. You went to NYU Steinhardt for vocal studies, right?
Vocal performance, yeah.
So how did you decide that over musical theater?
Yeah, so my voice teacher growing up, her name is Erica, and she was in one of the first classes of NYU Steinhardt. And I have always done opera. I've always been very interested in the study of voice and music theory, and being able to expand vocally, not just in musical theater, but also in the operatic world. So for NYU, I saw that Steinhardt, that was sort of their focus. And I was like, oh, that seems perfect for me. I also, and this is just being totally honest, with the way that NYU auditions work, if you audition for Tisch, you either audition for all of the studios or you audition just for the new studio on Broadway? New school on Broadway? Yeah. So I know that it's you audition for all of them, which means it's for acting schools, which I frankly at that time did not have, I think, the qualifications and like the training that I wanted to feel confident going into, an audition where it was solely based on monologues. Mm-hmm. And then, they were like, or you just get into NSB. And I was like, oh, okay. But then I discovered Steinhardt through my teacher, and I loved it. Mm-hmm. It was being a very, very good match for me. I learned so much. I'd say the only thing with that program is, and I know that it's still sort of figuring itself out, like there was a lot of shifting, and that was a little challenging, that like certain teachers, wouldn't come back the following year. We'd get new teachers. Ended up being the teachers that I ended up working with, I adore, and I still stay in touch with, and I think were incredibly pivotal in my growth. But it was a bit, shifting here and there, and that was challenging.
What classes have you found to be the most helpful within your professional career now?
Ooh, okay. We had one class I loved that I used those skills daily, song analysis. And that would basically like you would do musical theater, or frankly, we'd also work on, pop and rock and everything like that, but primarily musical theater. And we'd be breaking down a song. It would be saying like, okay, this is the circumstance. This is who you're singing to. It would literally, they gave us a worksheet and we would have to break down every single song. And just the specificity of that was incredibly helpful. I also had a class called audition skills. That was fantastic because it's literally like every week they'd be like, this is an EPA for this. You are auditioning for this season. What would you come in with? And then we get feedback. We did that. One I loved that got cut short because of COVID was one called Scene Study. And that was one of my favorites because it would be literally like the study of musical theater scenes. So it would essentially be, we would like do the scene into a song. So for example, if you were going to do I'm Not That Girl from Wicked, you would do the Lion Cub scene into I'm Not That Girl. And it was sort of like how to transition from a spoken scene to a sung scene. But that got cut short because of COVID, and it was a little bit hard to do over Zoom. I mean, there were a lot. Even like my diction classes were really, really great because I sometimes sing opera, like learning Italian diction and French diction and German diction. Even though I struggled with it immensely, it's very helpful because now I can I can see, an Italian aria and I can pronounce it. Mm-hmm. So very, very grateful for all the classes I took there.
Yeah, I took my favorite class ever there. It was literally just like musical, like studying like the musical. But I'm the biggest Broadway nerd ever. I love those kinds of classes. That's like
it was the best. I was like, this is everything I wanted as a child.
You moved from California to New York at a young age. Was it a difficult transition?
It was definitely challenging. I'm very close with my family, especially my mom. And so going, 3,000 miles away was really hard. It's even still hard when I go home to visit family and have to come back because New York has my heart and I love, love, love New York. But it is very hard to leave. Literally besides my sister, my entire family lives in California and lives specifically in Los Angeles. So it's definitely, that was, I'd say, the biggest challenge. I also, in all honesty, did not grow up doing a lot of like sleepovers or sleepaway camp. I did one summer of sleepaway camp and hated it. So like being away from home was just really, really hard. Positives, I think it forced me to grow up. It forced me to take a lot more accountability and responsibility for myself, forced me to become an adult. It also, I will say, because I couldn't rely on, going home on the weekends, I was able to go and experience new things. I was able to go and audition. I was able to start learning about New York and how to navigate the subways and how to, cook for myself and do my laundry. And thankfully my mom very much taught a lot of those skills to me growing up, which I am so grateful for that. I know how to write a check, which I have a lot of friends that up until recently did not know how to write a check, or basic skills like that. But yeah, it forced me to grow up, and especially living in New York on a kind of college campus where it wasn't, isolated. It just forced me to grow up very quickly, which I think was good.
You were auditioning while you were in college. How did that work? Like, were you working within the industry at that point too?
So I wasn't working a lot within the industry. My school, they didn't necessarily, a lot of schools like do not let you audition. Like they literally are like, you cannot audition. Steinhardt, it was basically like, as long as you're not missing your classes, you can go and audition. They're like, if you book something, and one thing they were really great about, and I actually know people that this happened to, where if someone like booked a Broadway show or booked a tour, they would hold their degree for them. A lot of schools don't do that, where like you'll have to re-audition or restart. And they were especially my voice teacher was very encouraging and was like, go and learn. Like you learn by doing. And frankly, like I was so grateful that I was able to, because I learned how to navigate an EPA and how to navigate an ACC and what those things were. So that way, when I did graduate college, I wasn't like, what is this?
How do you find your auditions? Like, what's your way?
Yeah, so I have a couple different ways. One is through my agent. I have a really, really wonderful agent who will send me appointments and send me self-tapes, and I love her. She's amazing. So that's one way. I also, through Actors Access is a huge one. I will literally just submit for anything I'm remotely right for on there. So that's that. And then for in-person auditions, I go to Playbill Jobs. There's a couple other forms. Playbill Jobs, I think, is my favorite because I just think it's the most current. And I like the way that it's set up. And you just filter it to performer, and then it'll say every audition. And either I will be like, okay, great, there's an EPA for this, gonna go for that. Or I'll call my agent and be like, hey, can you get in for this, please, and thank you. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Just kind of depends.
What's your go-to audition song?
Ooh, that's hard. It changes a lot. Right now, my go-to Golden Age one is This Is All Very New to Me from Plain and Fancy, which like no one does, which I'm like, great. I used that literally this morning. I'd say that's my go-to Golden Age. I have a lot of like Disney or Disney adjacent in my book. And that's actually, I'm in the middle of an overhaul in my book right now. It's something that I actually need to kind of clean up a little bit.
It's okay.
Yeah. I also like, I've been very fortunate that a lot of auditions that I've been doing have been like, here's the material from the show.
How has auditioning like evolved? For like now it's very self-tape virtual. Like how has that been different from the past?
It's been very different. So I remember, especially when I was in college and when I was, doing all of that, it was, all going early, signing up in the morning. Granted, still is, because I'm still non-union, which is a decision that, something I'm thinking about, but it's a very complicated choice to join the union. And when I was in high school, you'd get there at like 6:37 and be like number like 4 on the list. You get there at 6:37 o'clock. Now you were number like 82. It's insane. So that's been an interesting experience to say the least. But a lot of it has evolved to self-tapes. And that's something that I feel like we didn't really have pre-COVID. So now like I have my backdrop over there and I'm using my ring light right now. And granted, I use those things for social media, which is great. But a lot of it is a lot of pre-screens and like first or even second rounds are going to be self-tapes. Yeah. Or I've even had ones, that are like the EcoCast on Actors Access, where it's literally like essentially a Zoom audition. Yeah. Which is great because it means, you don't have to travel for an audition. But I do miss the in-person sort of face-to-face contact because I feel like you get more out of that. You can make a connection and develop a relationship.
I want to talk about something very niche.
Okay, let's start.
Who used to sell merchandise at Wicked?
I did. Yes.
I want to talk about that. That is like so cool to me.
It was really fun. I did it for year and a half. And it wasn't just Wicked, actually. So there's a bunch of different merch companies on Broadway. There's like 3 big ones. And I worked for one called Araka. And they did like probably half the shows that were on Broadway that are also still on Broadway. Like they still do a bunch of them. But basically, yeah, we did Back to the Future, Wicked. They're doing Cabaret, Outsiders, like majority of the shows on Broadway. And it was really fun. And, you'd get to go and you'd get to, sell merch, which was really cool, especially because like I grew up buying merch. I mean, I still have my Alphabet Defy Gravity shirt. That was from this company that I bought when I was 12, literally I brought it into work one day and I was like, this is hilarious. I was like, it was Araka merchandise on the shirt. And it's from probably, when I was 12 or 13, when I saw it. So it was really fun. I really liked it. I met some wonderful friends from it. It was really cool to like be in a theater. It also, they They let us see a lot of the shows too, which was really great. So we could stand in the back and like witness that. And that was really special. Like my last day of work was my first shift at the Outsiders. So I got to watch majority of the Outsiders just from the back, which was amazing. And I was like, great, I didn't have to pay for a ticket. This is awesome. Wicked was one they actually did not let us watch. Granted, Wicked also was like a whole like process. Like during the show, we'd be folding shirts. We would be doing like different jobs and stuff because there was just so much merchandise, and that show has so much merch. I'm sure they're doing even more now with the movie. So, but I really liked it. It was really fun.
How did you find this job?
Yeah, I found it on Playbill.
Oh.
I found it on Playbill Jobs. I found it. I think it was something that I forgot. I think I was talking to my mom about, and we were trying to think of a job for me to do out of college. And I wanted, I've had experience working in retail, but I wanted to, do some things still with theater. And I think I just saw it on Playbill Jobs and was like, oh, this is amazing. And it was really fun. And it was great also because it was mostly at night. Yeah. So I would then be able to go and audition during the day, which was great. It was a little bit hard because, I'd be getting home at like 11:30, 12, which that was challenging, especially when you're trying to go to an audition the next day at like 6 a.m. But I loved it. It was really, really great.
Who was the coolest person you've ever sold merch to? Is there like anyone who like stood out?
I did work the Wicked 20th anniversary, and Kristen and Adina did walk right by me, and I was just like,
all right. So I want to talk about your cabaret career because you have a big resume of cabarets. How did you fall into this?
I think a lot of it was the music directing, and also in high school, we had this thing called public domain, and basically we would get to direct scenes or songs or different sort of things in this sort of variety show. And I always went ham on it. Like I did the entire Into the Woods prologue, cast, costumed it, did everything, did Beautiful from Heathers, which again, these are like 8-minute numbers. I was crazy. I did do Wishing from Phantom and managed to coerce a 20-piece orchestra into it. I'm a psychopath. It's fine. That's the soundbite. I'm a psychopath. But yeah, so I always really liked doing it. And my friend Ira, she did a like Valentine's Day themed 54 Below show. And I grew up watching 54 Below clips. Or, when I'd come to the city, I'd seen a couple of them here and there and like absolutely adored them, went to some of them in college. And I loved it. So my friend just was able to put one on, and I picked her brain about it. And I was like, what is this process? How do you do it? And it's so much more accessible than people think. Yeah. Like producing, especially, like I have not put a single penny of my own money into producing, because every time you get the money back, which is great. So I'm like, when people, think it's really inaccessible, I'm like, it takes a lot of time and, and all of that, but I love it. And I love sort of like putting together a set list and casting my friends and working. I have some really, really wonderful musicians I love to work with. And so, yeah, I sort of fell into it that way through my friend, and then started producing on my own. I have a music director I work with a lot. And then I've been in other shows as well, which has been really cool. And like performing on those stages when I've grown up watching that it's wild. Every time I go on that stage, I'm like, whoa, this is crazy.
What is the biggest challenge you faced while producing?
I would say like organizational stuff. I'm very busy. All of my friends are very busy, and making sure that we don't waste anyone's time and like no one is just like sitting around waiting to rehearse. So like I'm a very type A person. Like I like to make, time schedules. I have a to-do list of things. It just helps my brain. But I'd say, yeah, it's just like organizing it and making sure that like all of the bases are covered. So, making sure that everyone has what they need to be successful, making sure that, the band's all covered, that all of our sheet music arrangements are done, communicating with them. So it's being as like on top of everything and making sure that like you can account for things going wrong, because they will.
Can you share a moment from your cabaret journey that you are most proud of?
I produced a Halloween one. That one was really fun. And that was just very cool to sort of see come together, especially because we gave some complicated music. Mm-hmm. And I remember my friend Zeke, who's currently in The Lion King, we sang the title song of Phantom together. And that I was like, I want a tape of this. And I was like, I want to sing. We'd both been wanting to sing it for literally years together, because we did Beauty and the Beast together, and he was my Beast when I was Belle. I adore him. And we were like, we need to sing Phantom together. And so getting to sing that on that stage together and like just feeling how good it felt was incredible. I also, I'm a sucker for group songs in a cabaret. I think they're so fun. So like, I love to have an opening number and a closing number. And those are always really, really cool to see come together. And I always feel just very proud. Like the Halloween one, we opened with the Ballad of Sweeney Todd. And I was like, this is sick. Or like we did well, not the entire, we had to cut it down a little bit, but we did the Into the Woods prologue for the fairy tale one. And like, I am so proud of this, that like this all came together. But it's just surreal, like seeing the 54 Below sign behind you and like being on that stage. I also sang, my friend Josh, he did an animation cabaret, and I got to sing Has Been Hotel for the composer of Has Been Hotel. It was like cool. Wild. It's almost like a little crazy.
How did your network that you've built help you create this social media that you have today?
Most of it is through connections and friendships and just meeting some really, really wonderful people. One of my first videos to sort of take off that developed into more of making it into an actual job was I went to a Disney Plus event and was not invited. I literally saw it just like on the street as I was hanging out with a friend. We're like, this looks fun. And I was like, I'm going to make a TikTok. And it got like 1 million views by that night. And then about a month later, Disney reached out and was like, hey, we really loved your video. We'd love for you to come to this. So I started working with them and then started working with other companies and have developed relationships with different movie studios and different, brands and everything. And I, through that, I got my manager for social media, and I love her so much. But it's all been, just I've been very, very fortunate. I've been very, very lucky to be kind of in the right place at the right time. And then also, I think just making those friendships and meeting people has been so cool. And like just getting to meet different people and be in that environment has been amazing.
It's so crazy how like one moment can just change your entire life.
Insane. It's absolutely insane. Like I would never, the things that I get to do now with social media are just, they blow my mind. Absolutely blow my mind.
Yeah. So crazy. So what's like your filming process?
So I have a couple different processes. One of them is if I just get an idea, I will put on my ring light and film it. A lot of times I do a lot of like vlog style content. So for those, I will typically just film a bunch of clips, either edit it to a specific song or edit it, to just edit it down, put some background music and do a voiceover. I have a running list in my notes app on my phone of just like ideas that I'm like, okay, great. If I, don't have anything in my brain, things I wanted to do, things that people have requested. So it all kind of just depends, but oftentimes it is me being like, here's my ring light. I'm going to talk to the camera. We're going to redo that because that came out weird. So it's sort of that. It's a lot of cutting and splicing and just like random trends that I'll see that I'll be like, oh, I can tie that into, my niches or things like that.
My For You page is so niche.
The For You page is wild.
Yes, the algorithm is crazy.
And it's the second you try to do anything outside your niche, everyone's like, what are you doing? And I'm like,
put it away.
Like, stop, please.
How do you balance creating authentic content with maintaining your professional image on social media?
Yeah, and that can be really, really tricky, especially I'd say one thing that I struggle with balance-wise is I do a lot of like, let's audition for this thing. Let's do that. I posted one today. And I'm even if people can guess what I'm auditioning for, I'm always very careful not to say it just because like either if there's legal reasons or also just because I'm superstitious. So like I balance it in terms of that. I'm also just, I think because I also work with companies like Disney where I want to be careful about, how I put myself online. I want to make sure that I'm cautious in terms of my image, but that's just kind of me in general. Like I don't post a lot of inappropriate content, and I never really have or had a desire to. So it's kind of just like posting things that feel authentic to me and feel truthful and feel correct. And, but also maintaining the fact that, there are going to be, it could be a couple hundred people that see this video, or it could be a couple million people. So it's just kind of always keeping that in the back of your head, being like, okay, let's make sure that we're putting out quality content that still feels like me.
In what ways has your social media presence opened doors for you within your theater industry?
So much. Gotten my first agent. I'm no longer with his agency, but also helped me make the connection for my second agent that I currently have. I've gotten now, it's wild getting recognized at auditions and being like, I follow your TikTok. And I'm like, hi. A lot of casting directors now, they're kind of like, where do I know you from? And they're like, wait, are you on TikTok? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, hi, nice to meet you. So it's in terms of connections and sort of bridging that gap has been so helpful. and just, getting to go to all of these industry-based events and getting to make these connections, I'd say that's a huge, huge part of it. And that's opened a lot of doors. And it's also, I feel like it's gotten me more comfortable in the public eye, like in terms of, being on camera. It's more comfortable because I'm like, oh, I'm putting myself out there every day. Some things are going to be better than others, just like auditions. So yeah, it's opened a lot of doors and has made me feel more confident and comfortable in myself.
Okay, let's get into a rapid fire question.
Okay, cool. I'm a little scared, but I'm really excited.
Don't be scared. Oh my God, I'm so excited. All right, let's get started.
Okay.
What is your favorite musical that you don't usually say is your favorite musical?
I'd say Bonnie and Clyde.
What's your go-to snack when you're backstage at a show?
Okay, besides Brothers Pastilles. I eat a lot of crackers. I eat a lot of fruit. I really love like grapes and strawberries. Those are just also my favorites in general. I have a lot of tea. I am a big tea girl. I have so much tea in my apartment. And there's sometimes where I'm like, I'll have a cookie. It's kind of just like whatever. You know what? I actually do love two things. Lay's potato chips. Potato chips and Sour Patch Kids.
What's a dream role that you can never see yourself playing?
Ooh. Can I gender bend?
Of course.
The Beast in Beauty and the Beast.
Oh my God, that is an amazing answer.
Because I love If I Can't Love Her so much. It's one of my favorite songs. Yeah. I think that's at least, also like The Phantom. We're basically just doing the counterparts for all my dream roles. It's fine.
No, right. Banks, If I Can't Love Her, is one of my favorite versions from High School Musical, the musical series.
Yes. Oh my God, classic. No, I love that song so much.
Yes, it's gorgeous. Simply gorgeous. If you could revive any show and star in it, what would it be and who would you play?
I wonder what the answer to this question is. I would revive the Phantom of the Opera, and I would now I could say I can revive it. It's close. Yeah, I'd say that's a big one. I'd also, Beauty and the Beast, Les Mis, Sweeney Todd, now that it's closed again. Yeah, I have a plethora. Matilda, I'd love to do Miss Honey.
Oh my God, I love that show. That's like my first musical obsession.
It's so sweet.
Yes.
Makes me cry. No, there's any Disney musical. I could give you like a mile-long list.
What's your go-to get ready song?
Right now, I listen to a lot of Taylor Swift. I listen to a lot of Chappell Roan. Listen to a lot of Florence and the Machine as well. I used to do a lot of like musical theater playlists. Now I feel like a little bit of separation, listening to more, pop music has been really, really great.
It like comes in waves.
Yeah, exactly. There's also, I do, when I'm doing a show, I will, not every time, but oftentimes I'll make a playlist for each character, and that'll have songs that are both musical theater and non-musical theater that kind of reflect that. Like when I did The Crucible in high school, I was Elizabeth Proctor and I had Burn from Hamilton on there, and it would kind of like get me in the mindset.
Who is the coolest person you've ever met on a red carpet?
So there's a difference between, met and like seen. Being on the wicked red carpet and seeing Ariana Grande and Cynthia.
Yeah, that's a good answer. I feel like
that was crazy.
Yeah.
That was wild. Yeah, I think there's been a lot of like theater red carpets, and that's been really cool. Like getting to meet people that I've looked up to my entire life. So
yeah.
That's really cool.
What's a musical theater song that's always stuck in your head?
Right now, Sunset Boulevard. That has been on repeat.
Yeah.
Just specifically the title song, Tom Francis' version is so good.
What's the hardest song you've ever had to sing at a cabaret?
I'd say like one of the hardest is doing the title song from Phantom, just because it is so iconic, and I think there comes with a lot of expectations. Also because I put myself out there as like being like, I want to play Christine. So I feel like every time I do it, there's a lot of expectations that come with it. Oddly enough, one that was challenging was when I sang Has Been Hotel, when I sang a Happy Day in Hell. That was hard just because of like the placement of it.
Who is the craziest person you've ever bumped into at a Broadway theater?
Ava, you got an answer for this one? For myself, not for you. Oh, you.
I want to know what her answer is.
You bumped into Patti LuPone.
She blew smoke in my face and asked to go to the bathroom once.
Oh my God. That's iconic.
No, I bumped into Sierra Bogus a few times. That one's wild.
Yeah, that's
I'm just like, I love you.
Yeah. I bumped into Jason down in a bathroom when I saw Illinois. That was incredible because I'm the biggest Jason. Yeah.
Incredible.
Lastly, if you could sing a duet with anyone in the world, who would it be and what song are you singing?
Okay, I'd want to sing with Ramin Karimloo because I think his voice is literal butter. It's gonna be some Phantom. I'm sorry. I'm
Oh,
not original. I would
So-
say singing the title song with Remy and Caramel would be like a dream come true. I
yes.
think I would die a little bit. Not gonna lie, because voice
I
is
think
my
I would die for it.
his voice is one of my favorite voices I've ever heard.
So good. Amazing.
There's so many.
Yeah. All right. You did it.
Yay! Oh, that was so fun. Thank you for having
Thank you
me.
so much for being here. This was so great.
Oh, you're incredible. Seriously, this was
So
so
are you. Thank you so much.